Peace everybody, I'm Chuck. Welcome to my channel. Come on in. God, I got so much to say, it's like I don't even know where to begin. One is to be straighten out the camera. Looks a little crooked there. Alright. We are going to be doing IYV guitars today. I've got a new one on order. Finally got a new guitar on order. It's the IYV IP 350 Tobacco. $157. Come on. I just found out they do special custom order guitars from IYV. The shipping from FedEx from Vietnam to America actually is pretty cheap. It's $170. You know, I mean, come on. I'm a courier. That's what I do for a living. I drive for a living. I get $1.25 a mile. You know, I go 150 miles. That's the same price of getting a guitar shipped from Vietnam. So that is, to me, unbelievably cheap. And if you get a guitar that has a bolt-on neck, they can unbolt it and put it in a smaller box and ship it for under $80. So that's incredible. Excuse the coughing. So $157 for Paul Reed Smith copy guitar. To me, it's phenomenal. And I'm going to reiterate, you know, same thing a lot of people say. They are great guitars, but I'm not going to bullshit around the bush. I thought I was the first one on the block to say this. I'm not. But we're talking about a guitar company that's making copies, okay, for under $200. Now that same guitar from Paul Reed Smith is the cheapest one that they have is around $450, $500, and then they go up $6, $7, $8 for that particular style. What I would expect if I spent that kind of money from Paul Reed Smith, I am going to expect the highest quality finish that you could possibly imagine on the planet. If I spend $2,000 on a guitar, I'm going over that guitar with a fine-tooth comb and a magnifying glass looking for any flaw, blip, blubber, or whatever. Now we're talking about copies. You're not going to get that type of finish on a copy, period. It's not going to happen. Why would you expect to spend $200 on a copy guitar and expect the same type of finish you would get for $6, $7, $8, $2,000? So, all right, don't even compare that. It's not a comparison. That's where they save their money. That's why they offer such a great playing guitar for under $200. And everybody that goes over these guitars with a fine-tooth comb says the same thing. The playing is phenomenal. Now, I don't care if you spend $2,000 or not. You're probably going to get one that has a fret off. And these people say the same thing. They spend that type of money on guitars. I don't have it. I can't spend $3,000 on a guitar. I don't have it. I'm not sure I would feel comfortable spending that kind of money on a guitar. And if I did, I'm going to expect the finish to be flawless. With IYV, when they go over the frets, they're, you know, pretty impressed. The intonation, the guy had 4 guitars. I'll try to find his name here in a second, so that way I'm not just making stuff up. But this guy bought 4 of the IP, not this particular one, the semi-hollow body. I have the Paul Reed Smith copy, and this is a beautiful guitar with the through neck on it. Instead of gluing the neck to the guitar or bolting it on, this neck is all the way through there. Then they bolt the body to the neck. Rickenbacker was famous on doing that. The quality and craftsmanship on this guitar is phenomenal. You look at the finish on it, looks fantastic. But if I get up close and I hold it on the angle of the light, you're going to see the buffing marks. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the super high gloss one you would get for $2,000. I paid under $300 for this. And I'm one of the lucky ones where some of these guys get, he had the one with the Vine of Life, and he was showing some pretty serious defects in it. And I haven't gone over this with a magnifying glass, but mine is perfect. It's perfect. The inlay, there's all the cuts, all the edges, at least not with my eyes. Yeah, so I'm stoked. IYV got me back in the game playing guitar for a reasonable price. And here's another kicker on why. The wages of employees at Gibson are American wages. Everybody wants to make the American dream. In Vietnam, these employees are still communists, and they're getting like $3 an hour. So I'm wondering if maybe I could take these guitars and try to get one buffed up on a buffing wheel by a professional buffer and see if you could upgrade it a little bit. But that doesn't affect playing quality. And what happens when you take a $2,000 guitar out on tour and you're hitting 50 clubs in a summer? You don't think you're not going to get that thing fucked up, scratched up, dinged up? So yeah, I was sitting looking at my 12 string, and right here you get just the right light. There's a little bit of a buffing mark on it. It's like this angle, it looks perfect. You gotta really I can't even see it here. I'm sure if I sat back in my chair as I was and the light hits it, but I expect it. When I bought my first IYV, there's another channel I gotta share. I should share. It was how to sing vocal lessons. Well, first you gotta wet your whistle. He has all these other weird exercises. I was like, I'm not sure if he's real or just seeing if people are actually going to watch it and sit there and go, you're singing a concert. All along the watch tower, baby. I got to say, these exercises ain't going to do nothing for singing, but what do I know? I can't sing. So, I get off track so easy. And this will help. So we graduated in 78. We had the band. We played. And I always wondered why people gave up guitar playing, and I did. I moved out to California. Couldn't figure out why I was playing in the first place, to show off, to get girls. I didn't know. So I kind of quit playing for a while. When I got back in the game, I saw the Fireflies. Thank God I didn't get a Firefly. Everything you look in the stores is made in China. Firefly is a Chinese guitar, okay? Point blank, enough said. It's whatever. Taking advantage of cheap labor, like I'm not with Vietnamese, right? This guitar is Korean company made in Vietnam, in the same manufacturing plant I have heard as the Harley Bentons. So it looks like it's a pretty good company, and We're supporting the Vietnamese, and we fucked them up back in the 70s. That's where I'm from. So if we can support these people, yes, I'm 100% for it, because I'm not going to get into politics in the war at Vietnam, but it was a nasty war, not where you could just go up and shoot people, and it's like either battlefield, you're either killed or not. This is more of a hideout war game type of situation, and it fucked people up. It probably should be easier just going straight out on the battlefield, and what the Americans did to the small tribal things is just, I can't get into it. It's terrible. So yeah, if we can support some of the damage that we have done, IYV, Vietnamese guitar, with a Korean label on it, I have found. And this was the first one I bought for under $200, and it's like it's going to be a piece of crap. Immediately, I didn't even play it. I took it to the shop, have them change all the pots, pickups with the Seymour Duncan, new switch, new tuning keys, had them do a setup on it, and this thing is phenomenal, man. It's like, I love this guitar. It's fantastic. And it's like, well, all right, let's do the YouTube channel and versus. Let's see what the original ones compare to my modified one. And well, lo and behold, we are talking, this isn't the 70s. These are all completely CNC machined guitars. Better than anything we had on a Gibson back in the 70s. Come on. So when I got the CNC Destiny wound pickups, I like them. It's a different flavor than the Seymour Duncans. So that's the idea, having different guitars. It's getting different flavors, different sounds, different tones. And I gotta say, probably 7 out of 10 times I'll pick this one up for a smoother sound than the Seymour Duncans. If I wanted more of a, I'd say, grittier rock sound, I would go to the Seymour Duncans. If I want to get a really smooth, clean, awesome, jazzy style, these pickups are clean. So I like that. The pots, like the guy said at the store, there's no need to ever have changed them anyway. So I did a lot of things I didn't really need to do, except for the tuning keys, because I've noticed on all the different models they do have different keys. And Gibson Les Pauls on the tuning keys in the 70s were crap. First thing we would do when we'd buy a Gibson Les Paul in 1978, take the pickups out, put in some DiMarzios, immediately change the tuning keys. Everything else was fine. Stratocasters, they had the 5-way switch. Immediately you'd have to change that to one from the store that was high quality, because they were noisy. But yeah, this guitar here is fantastic, and it has worn pretty good. The only thing I noticed, like everybody says, the pickups are angled. I guess that's inherent. And then I ended up picking up, very careful, I got too many guitars for the space. I don't know where I'm going to put the new one. And we got the Ocean Blue. Like you said, the wood grain on the back is pretty wild, and it is completely different than the other models. This is an ILS 300. Oh, so it is the same guitar as those, but the back is a single piece on the back versus the emerald green one was 3 pieces on the back. So each guitar is different. I just ordered some setup tools. I would say the nicest one so far that I've got for solid bodies is the Paul Reed Smith. Even though this looks really cool on the fretboard, I don't like it. It's difficult to play. I'm so used to seeing the 3 dots and the 2 on the octave. They do have kind of a bigger leaf span, 3, 5, 7, 9. And at 12, you think they kind of would have done. I guess it's simpler for the 12, so I'm relying on the dots. But it is such a beautifully made guitar. I mean, I can't even describe the craftsmanship of the wood, and you know, I got some tools coming for guitar setup, so I'm kind of excited to do my own little setup on it, because make sure that's not scratching the finish. But yeah, this is beautiful. So main thing about this video is don't worry about the finish on these inexpensive guitars. That's not what they're about. You know, it's if you want to save money and not spend $1,000 or $700 on a Gibson Les Paul, and you want to buy a copy, don't expect to get a $600 finish on a $200 guitar. The finishes are good, and I gotta say, compared to the 4 that this guy got on his video, I'm shocked, because I can see blemishes or something here and there, but nothing like what he's running into. So I don't know if quality is going down, or if they're just making too many, or I have seen some of the green ones that were terrible, and I was like, oh, I got this one off of eBay. Well, number one, the shape that the frets were in, with the routing not being correct, send it back. That's why I like dealing with Amazon. Glenn Burton, I sent about 4 of those things back, and that was the side of the fret on that looks like somebody ate it with a chisel. It's terrible, but you know, I got too much money into it to just I couldn't send it back. But I was very disappointed. It would be tough to buy another one, maybe to compare it to see if they've gotten any better. And if it came like this one was with the chiseled edge, I'm going to go take it to the factory and say, what do you guys, is this real? Because at least if you buy an IYV from Amazon, it's probably not going to be a copy of a copy. Which that's what I thought. That doesn't look like, you know, an IYV to me. That it was just too many things all over. Unless you have second and third guitars. You have guitars that have finish flaws, which are second, perfect and plain, and you have thirds that are not supposed to be sold to the public. There's a defect somewhere on it. So as far as me, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 of them being the Les Paul, 8, 9 IYVs, and my 10th one on the way. If I would never be able to afford it if it was all Gibsons and IYVs. It'd be a lot of money. The 12 string, we got to get that going. We got Ableton 12 back up on the computer, brand new, so I could never ever get Ableton 11 to work. And I guess that's going to be about it for this video, the finished video on your guitars. Take the enhancing wipes, wax them up, and you get a really good finish. And like I'm looking at one guitar now. I'll show you a perfect example. And I learned this the hard way. I'm a carpenter, and I did go to school, but maybe I wasn't paying that attention that day. But when you're gluing wood, if you're going to paint it, who cares? But if it's going to be stained, I did a bunch of handrails and I glued the snot on them, and I put the dowels in the holes and the glue ran around the edge, and you wipe it all up. But the glue sucked into the pores of the wood, so when you went to put the clear coat on there or stain, the glue around that edge was like, why does it look like that? You go, oh, you didn't, it was, you got the glue all over it. And I go, huh? Wood pores, they explain what happens when you glue wood. Messy. So I'll show you a perfect example of an IYV flaw. And I'm so glad I got this particular model when it came out, because for the price of this guitar, I couldn't have bought the bridge. All the other, and the craftsmanship, these are not bolt-on necks. This is a crafted piece of wood. To try to make a hollow body guitar like this, you know, I couldn't do it. Not yet. I never even studied it. Maybe someday I could do it if I wanted to. But they, you know, they're not doing the perfect job on the inside of the F holes. $2,500, you're gonna get a perfect F hole. But right here, we can see where there's a discoloration, and that's the glue. They put a little bit too much glue on the neck. That's how these necks are attached in there. They're not bolted on. So, okay, they used a lot of glue. Great, man. I got confidence that I had a Glenn Burton guitar, wasn't paying attention, radiator heat, it cracked right there, right on that line on the Glenn Burton. And then I looked at, put a humidity gauge in my room, and it was 0. So was it the fault of the guitar? I'd say not. Since then I've been keeping up with the humidity. Oh, I just noticed this is loose here. So it's smooth. They sanded it down, and when they put the poly over it, it's perfectly smooth. But something like that could also be, you take a picture of that. If somebody ever stole this guitar and sanded out the serial numbers, I could say, hey, that's an identifying mark. And I'll tell you, it's true, because no guitar has the same wood grain pattern. And again, there's this beautiful little mark down here. If this was probably $3,000, $5,000 guitar, they probably would have tossed that piece of wood out and made sure that it's completely uniform. Even though it might look okay with a little characteristic, when you're playing it, who's going to see it? Right? So, I love this trans orange guitar. That's my favorite IYV right now. IYV, get in the game. And next video, gonna get the table out, gonna set it up, and start doing some work, because I can believe that I can make these great guitars better just by playing with the nuts and the action. And you know, I bought this and I didn't even know how to use it. So I think I might have a clue watching the videos on these guys. They're awesome. And I'll try not to be lazy and put their links. But I'll put the links down to 2 other channels for setting up guitars, because each guy had his own unique little tricks. Like one guy's was the feeler gauges, which I've always wondered about that. And special files for the nut. And I always kind of thought the nuts were kind of not the best, but it's that's one thing too. When you get a guitar like this, expect not the best finish, and expect to maybe spend a couple dollars taking it to your guitar shop and having a professional set it up for you. Or I've done that with every Les Paul. 5 of the guitars I'd always take down there, have them set up. But looking back, I mean, he didn't check the frets, every fret with the fret leveling tool. He didn't check the nut height. It was a $30 setup. You get strings, and he did the intonation on it. Charge me $100 and do a super tune-up setup on it. That's what, put different levels on it. I got these guitars back, and they're all right, but now I realize they can be a lot better if you go in depth. So I've got stuff on the way. Feeler gauges, fret files. I've got that gauge, the fret leveler, check them out, and got the IYV, and also I'll make a separate video on this one. So retirement. Peace out.